Hello, I'm Jerry Savage, and welcome to this episode of The Savage Edge. Well, you caught me journaling and having a cup of coffee, which I really like to do in the morning. Um, Not that I've always been consistent at it, but I try to be. I try to be because the journaling keeps me centered and it keeps me focused. And sometimes I waver, right? I have my ups and downs, and I'm sure you guys do too. But here we are in September, and just a few weeks before the fourth quarter. And for a lot of you folks in business and in sales, that's where it all happens. Games are won and lost in the fourth quarter. Make no mistake about it. And I like to use the sports analogies because it makes a lot of sense. It's because it's where people really find out what they're made of. They dig down deep. Are they able to focus? Are they able to compartmentalize? Are they able to do one play at a time? Because let's face it, there's no place for multitasking when you're trying to score a goal or score a touchdown or get enough points to win the game. Multitasking, you say, Jerry, well, I have to multitask. I have to do a lot of things at once here. I think it was Sully Sullenberger. If you remember Sully from the Miracle on the Hudson, where he landed the Airbus on the Hudson. Well, it wasn't a miracle. Sully, in a lot of ways it was, but for Sully, he had practice and repetition. As we said from the last podcast, repetition is the mother of skill. And Sully recognized that if he had gone through the checklist for the water landing, it happened in the handbook, the manual, that was from a 10,000 or 30,000 foot descent. I can't remember, but he was less than 3,000 feet. So if he had gone through the checklist, he would have crashed somewhere in New York before they could have even done anything. But because Sully had gone through it in his mind over and over, the sequence, he knew that he had to skip over things. And he actually had to switch on the auxiliary power units so that they could still fly the airplane. But I'm not here to talk about the Miracle on the Hudson. What I want to discuss today is that we have to do certain things in our lives in order to get where we want to go and to make certain things happen and for certain outcomes, right? And so how does that relate to journalism or journaling? And by writing things down, it's an accountability tool for yourself. So it's a self-accountability tool. That's the way I like to think about it. You know, I always felt that if I write things down, I'll do them. If I don't, well, they get lost because my memory is not that great sometimes. I have a whiteboard sitting over there you can't see. And I do write things down. But the one thing about lists is sometimes they get overwhelming. And as you write things on lists and you all of a sudden you realize the things that you put down for a day is that you can't accomplish in a week. So we get overzealous. We look at these things and we say, okay, overambitious. But when I write things down in my journal, it's a reflection of what happened the previous day, what's going on in my mind right now, what do I want to accomplish today? And it becomes like Carpe Diem. It becomes seize the day, if you remember the Latin term. And how do I seize the day? Well, I seize the day by putting things in perspective. And that's how we have to look at the year, too. We've gone through almost 3/4 of the year, and now we're going to be going into the fourth quarter. And if you're not where you want to be, if you are, that's great. If you're on track, fantastic. My hat's off to you. Most of the time going into the fourth quarter in my sales career, my business career, either leading teams or whether in the field myself, you know, there have been times that I've been above quota. It's almost like, okay, am I going to hold serve or do I have to keep going? Because January 1st, it started all over again. So you were right back in the same boat and with no points on the board. So I always tried to keep going and keep things in the pipeline, whether I was on track or not. And if you're not on track, when you think about it midway through the fourth quarter, or if you're waiting now and you're kind of just putting it aside, you're procrastinating, you're putting that thought ahead that I'm not on quota and I'm just kind of do the best I can, you're never going to get to it and you're never going to get close to it. You're not going to put enough points on the board. There's just no way. So when you write things down, and if you're writing them down now, if you're not journaling and you start today, my hat's off to you. Congratulations. Pick up a journal, get a book, start writing. And put a date down and start writing. What are my thoughts from yesterday? What did I do? What did I accomplish yesterday? What didn't I accomplish yesterday? What do I want to accomplish today? What do I want to accomplish the rest of this year? Write it down. It's your accountability tool. And you will seize the day, I guarantee you. Now, when I say Carpe Diem and seize the day, when I write things down in my journal versus doing the to-do list, I feel good about it because I've just said to myself, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do today. This is what I'm going to do tomorrow. This is what I want to accomplish. Here are my long-range goals. And I write them down. And you know what? As I go back through time, they show up over and over. And when they show up over and over with some consistency, that means you really want them. And whatever it is for you, if you want success in sales, you don't really want the success in sales. If you're writing it down, you'll find out what it truly is that you want to do with your life. Success in sales is great. Success in business is great. Making a lot of money is great. But I guarantee you'll find there are other things inside you that maybe you haven't brought to the surface yet. Maybe you have occasionally. But if you start writing them down and they keep showing up, and that's consistency, next thing you know, they'll start showing up in your life. We manifest what we think about most. And so the other thing that it does is it keeps me from taking random actions. Yes, random actions. I don't like to take random actions, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I get caught up and I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing the multitasking thing. And I'm at 3,000 feet like Sully was instead of 10,000 feet. And, if you're not careful, you'll crash. So what I like to do is when I write things down here and I feel good about it and I know what I'm going to do and I can put it in perspective, then I'm not making that big list on the whiteboard over there. I'm taking the 3 most important things, and that's what I'm going to accomplish today. And so here we are, going into, the fourth quarter, which will be next month. And we're in September now. And, sometimes we got to revise our game plan. And sometimes we have to reprioritize and put things in perspective because, let's face it, even in World War II, if you want to take that for an example, on D-Day, that plan changed. That plan on paper changed as soon as they hit the beach. So they had to adapt and they had to improvise. They had to overcome. And that's what happens in your life. And when you write that down and you put that in perspective, those changes are there. And so in the fourth quarter, if you're down and the game is 28-3, like it was with the Patriots and the Falcons back in 2017, people were leaving the stadium. People had left the stadium. 28-3, they're done. That's it, right? How the heck did they pull that off? How did they do it? They did it one play at a time. One play at a time. Josh McDaniels said to the team, do you believe we're going to win? Yes. They said, yes. Well, I believe we're going to win too, but we got to do it one play at a time. I'm paraphrasing that. And so doing your job meant doing it one play at a time. So, if you throw a Hail Mary, chances are it's a low percentage, right? But if you're doing it one play at a time and you're gaining yardage down the field, you'll eventually get to the end zone, whatever that is for you. And so if you write it down today, Carpe Diem, if you seize the day, I guarantee you're going to get closer to that objective than you ever got before. And the fun thing about journaling is you can go back, a year. You can go back 5 years, 10 years, however long you wrote, and you can look at things and you can say, okay, oh yeah, that's what I was thinking back then. Has your perspective changed? It might have. You may have learned things because I guarantee you, one of the things that I feel like is that you've been here and you've been following the Savage Edge podcast is that you are a lifelong learner. There's no question about it in my mind. You're a lifelong learner. So I guess my thought for today in this podcast is Carpe Diem. Seize the day. I said last week, repetition is the mother of skill. If you do things over and over in your mind, or if you write them down, you will take actions with a positive outcome, because those actions won't be, random actions that you're going around in a circle and you're on a treadmill or you're on the hamster wheel. No, you're writing things down and you're moving in a direction. So for today, Carpe Diem, seize the day, and I'll see you next time. This has been the Savage Edge, and I'm Jerry Savage, and I'm going to get back to my coffee here, and I hope you'll join me.